Introducing Korean broadcast content that you won't be able to stop watching. For weary modern souls, Dr. Romantic, the quirky genius doctor of Puldam Hospital, prescribes heartwarming tales of humanity. A couple together for 7 years sees their rose-tinted glasses shatter. Can they keep their relationship alive? Discover the raw stories of youth, work, and love. Beyond what social media can show, experience the vibrant Korea through its hidden gems. Mama, the ultimate K-pop festival for global fans. Find your star in a feast of trendy music and electrifying performances. Now, the whole world enjoys it together.
The U.S. military has launched what it described as self-defense strikes in southern Iran, with the U.S. Central Command saying targets included missile launch sites and Iranian boats attempting to lay mines. Meanwhile, Iran says progress has been made in talks with the United States, but stressed that this does not mean a deal was imminent. Korean stocks continue to rally, and the benchmark KOSPI opened above 8,000 points for the first time this morning. Semiconductor giants, including Samsung Electronics and SK Hynix, led the surge. President Lee Jae-myung says the country needs to speed up the deployment of a nuclear-powered submarine. He also called for modernizing the country's defense capabilities using cutting-edge technologies, including AI and drones. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. U.S. President Donald Trump says negotiations with Iran are nearing a deal, but ongoing disputes over Tehran's nuclear program and sanctions relief continue to slow progress. Our Cho Young-eun files this report.
U.S. Central Command said Monday that U.S. forces carried out self-defense strikes in southern Iran, targeting missile launch sites and Iranian boats allegedly attempting to lay mines during the ongoing ceasefire. Explosions were reported in the port city of Bandar Abbas, with Iranian media saying the situation is under control. Earlier Monday, U.S. President Donald Trump said negotiations with Iran toward a deal to end the war were proceeding nicely, but warned that if diplomacy fails, U.S. attacks would resume on a scale bigger and stronger than ever before. Writing on Truth Social, Trump said the deal with Iran would either be a great and meaningful one or there will be no deal. His remarks come amid criticism from both Democrats and some Republicans who worry a deal could ease pressure on Tehran while leaving Iran's nuclear program intact. On the same day, Trump insisted that Iran's enriched uranium stockpile must either be handed over to the United States or destroyed under the oversight of the International Atomic Energy Agency. A senior U.S. official said Iran had agreed in principle to dispose of the highly enriched uranium, with details of the mechanism still being discussed. Trump also called for countries including Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Pakistan, Egypt, Jordan, and Turkey to join the Abraham Accords as part of broader efforts tied to negotiations with Iran. He said he spoke with leaders from those countries, including the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain, which already signed the normalization agreements with Israel. Trump said on social media that those nations will welcome Iran into the accords once a deal to end the conflict is reached. The comments follow an Axios report from Saturday, which said that Washington and Tehran are discussing a framework agreement that could include extending a ceasefire for 60 days, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, and continuing talks over Iran's nuclear program. Cho Young-eun, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, Iran says progress has been made in talks with the United States to end the 3-month conflict in the Persian Gulf, but pushed back on any notion that an agreement is imminent, with a senior official saying the United States has complicated negotiations. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Iran says progress has been made in talks with the United States aimed at ending the 3-month conflict in the Persian Gulf, but cautioned that a final agreement is not yet close. Speaking at a weekly briefing on Monday, Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Esmail Baghaei said negotiators had reached conclusions on many issues, but stressed that this did not mean a deal was imminent.
It is true that we have reached a conclusion regarding a large part of the topics under discussion, but to say that this means the signing of an agreement is imminent, no one can make such a claim.
He added that current discussions are focused primarily on ending the war and lifting the U.S. naval blockade around the Strait of Hormuz, rather than on Iran's nuclear program. According to Baghaei, a proposed 14-point memorandum of understanding would center on restoring safe passage through the strategic waterway in exchange for Iranian guarantees on maritime security. However, he also criticized the shifting positions by U.S. officials, saying they have complicated efforts to reach an agreement. On Monday, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio said Washington would continue to give diplomacy every opportunity before considering what he called alternatives. His comments followed President Donald Trump's announcement that he had instructed American negotiators not to rush into a deal with Tehran. Despite some progress in peace talks, the two sides remain divided over several key issues, including Iran's nuclear ambitions, Tehran's demands for sanctions relief, and access to billions of dollars in frozen oil revenues overseas, as well as the ongoing conflict between Israel and the Iran-backed Hezbollah group in Lebanon. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
South Korea's foreign ministry says it has urged Israel to carry out a full investigation into allegations that 2 Korean activists were assaulted by Israeli forces after being detained aboard 8 vessels headed for the Gaza Strip. The ministry said Monday that it summoned Israel's deputy ambassador to Seoul on Saturday to formally express concern over the claims. The 2 activists, Kim Ha-hyun and Kim Dong-hyun, returned home Friday after being released. Upon arrival, they alleged they were physically assaulted while in Israeli custody. Kim says she suffered partial hearing loss in her left ear after being struck repeatedly on that side of her face. Seoul stressed that appropriate action must be taken if the allegations of inhumane treatment are confirmed. Meanwhile, Korea's benchmark KOSPI opened at a new record high this morning, surpassing the 8,000 mark on opening. The index opened at 8,070.91, driven by growing expectations over an end to the war between the United States and Iran. Korean semiconductor giants also led the surge. Samsung Electronics crossed the 300,000 won threshold, while SK Hynix topped 2 million Korean won for the first time during intraday trading. President Lee Jae-myung has highlighted the need to speed up plans to acquire nuclear-powered submarines. Speaking at a cabinet meeting this morning, he urged for the bolstering of the nation's defense capability, such as upgrading its defense capability using AI and drones. On wartime operational control, he instructed his officials to swiftly implement follow-ups for its transfer from Washington to Seoul, stressing the importance of self-reliant defense. South Korea's Defense Ministry and the U.S. Department of Defense will begin their search for the remains of U.S. soldiers killed or missing during the Korean War. The month-long joint search is set to begin on Tuesday across 6 areas, including Hongcheon in Gangwon-do Province and Yangpyeong in Gyeonggi-do Province. Hongcheon and Yangpyeong were among the sites of fighting during Chinese spring offensives in 1951, where the U.S. 2nd Infantry Division suffered significant casualties. Dr. Claire M. Barnwalt, head of the U.S. Defense Investigation Team, stressed that the team will work closely with South Korean authorities to uncover crucial clues regarding the possible locations of the remains. Golden from the K-pop Demon Hunters movie soundtrack has won Song of the Year at the 2026 American Music Awards held in Las Vegas on Monday. The song beat out 9 other nominees, including Taylor Swift's The Fate of Ophelia, to claim the prize. Singer-songwriter EJ thanked fans for helping the song and the film gain tremendous support. The song has also been nominated for the Best Pop Song category, while the soundtrack itself received a nomination for Best Soundtrack. Also at the awards, Korean superstar boy band BTS also won its 2nd Artist of the Year title. Experts say better recycling starts at home. Much of the plastic placed in recycling bins never actually makes it back into new products. But simple steps like removing labels and rinsing off food waste can make a significant difference. Our Kim Sa-young reports.
This resource recovery center on Jeju-do Island processes 70 tons of recyclable waste every day. The equipment can separate what can be recycled from contaminated waste. But in the end, what matters most is how clean the plastic is. The few seconds it takes to remove a label and rinse off food waste can make all the difference.
When households separate their trash properly, the waste that comes in here is easier to sort and more can be recycled.
However, what is actually thrown away tells a different story. Plastic tossed into standard garbage bags averages 25 grams per person each day, more than twice the amount put out for recycling. The problem is that even the plastic thrown into those bags could be turned into high-quality recycled material if it were not contaminated. But once it is mixed with other waste, only 8% of it is recycled. Even plastic that people take the time to separate often never makes it back into new products. There are still too many barriers on the road to real recycling. Korea's official recycling rate stands at 56%. But by European standard, which only counts plastic turned back into new material, the real rate drops to just 16%. That means much of the plastic set aside for recycling is still being burned.
Recycling does not improve simply because people sort their waste more carefully. The system has to support those efforts.
Real change will require companies to design products with recycling in mind from the start, and stronger government rules to make that happen. Only then can the burden of recycling be shared instead of falling mainly on customers. Small efforts at home can build a stronger recycling system. Kim Sa-young, Arirang News.
Rural areas in South Korea are suffering from being super aging societies, and as the population has aged significantly, veteran farmers have rolled up their sleeves to help young farmers in these communities. Our Cha Eun-kyung reports.
23-year-old Oh Hyung-un recently started rice farming and relocated to Gyeongju, Gyeongsang-buk-do province. Having started only 3 months ago, Oh is a novice with plenty of ambition but little experience. Fortunately, a veteran neighbor reached out to lend a helping hand. Lee Jong-guk, a veteran farmer with decades of experience, has been mentoring Oh, sharing everything from agricultural machinery operation to secrets developing market channels for his crops.
There was nowhere to learn these vital skills since I had no experience, but I have learned so much about farm work.
While more young adults are turning their attention to lucrative farming, like smart farms, high entry barriers remain a major hurdle. Essential elements, such as securing farmland, navigating administrative procedures, and mastering cultivation secrets, all require direct experience. In this context, the unconditional support from experienced farmers serves as the most reliable lifeline for these newcomers.
Our residents have their own know-how and love to help young farmers and are more than happy to pass on those skills.
Recognizing that the settlement of young farmers is crucial to reviving rural areas amidst severe aging, the National Agricultural Cooperative Federation, Nonghyop, has also stepped up. They're fostering win-win communities by matching young and old generations one-on-one and providing essential farming capital. The industry is now watching closely to see if this synergy will bring a new lease of life to farming villages. Cha Eun-kyung, Arirang News.
Around 2.4 billion years ago, Earth experienced a dramatic rise in oxygen, which allowed life to flourish. Its exact cause has long remained a mystery, but South Korean researchers may have found an important clue. Our Lee Soo-jin has more.
This massive crater, about 7 kilometers wide, was formed when a meteorite struck the Earth some 50,000 years ago. It's the Hapcheon impact crater. Researchers recently uncovered evidence that could reshape our understanding of how life developed on Earth from this ancient impact crater. In late 2020, scientists found several black lava stones near the outer edge of the crater. They looked like ordinary stones, but they were stromatolites, one of the oldest known signs of life on Earth. What makes this discovery extraordinary is where it formed. These stromatolites, usually found in oceans or lakes, were created inside a meteorite crater after the impact heated underground water. Researchers believe cyanobacteria, the first organism known to have produced oxygen, thrived in that lake, then built up over time, eventually forming stromatolites. Meteorite impacts were far more frequent, forming large crater lakes. Researchers say cyanobacteria living in those lakes likely produced oxygen, sharply increasing oxygen levels in Earth's atmosphere.
Impact craters likely acted as oxygen oases, increasing oxygen levels in the early atmosphere. That rise in oxygen may have paved the way for more complex life to emerge.
This is one of the first studies in the world to establish a scientific link between stromatolites and meteorite impacts. The findings were published in the journal Communications, Earth and Environment. 이수진, Arirang News.
Heavy rain and strong winds are expected across most parts of the country today. Rain began on Jeju Island and the Jeollado regions, and it's forecast to spread nationwide during the day and continue into Wednesday. According to the Korean Meteorological Administration, Seoul and Gyeonggi-do province are expected to get between 10 and 60 millimeters of rain, while Jeju Island and southern coastal regions could see as much as 150 millimeters. Authorities also warned of strong winds, thunder, and lightning, and they urged the public to take safety precautions.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. The head of the World Health Organization said the Ebola outbreak in Congo and Uganda is moving faster than response efforts can handle, with 220 suspected deaths now recorded. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus said on Monday that responders are, quote, playing catch-up after a weeks-long detection delay and warned the outbreak is likely to get worse before it gets better. He said he would travel to the epicenter of the virus in the Democratic Republic of Congo on Tuesday. Meanwhile, in Congo's Ituri province, a hospital came under attack twice over the weekend as relatives of victims demanded bodies for burial and protesters burned treatment tents. 25 patients fled during the attacks and one critically ill patient died while trying to escape. Health officials warned that fleeing patients make contact tracing nearly impossible. In Japan, 26 people at a Tokyo mall developed throat pain and felt unwell after a person allegedly sprayed an unknown substance. Dozens of emergency vehicles and responders in hazmat suits were deployed to the Ginza 6 shopping complex on Monday, and surrounding roads were temporarily closed. All but one of the victims were taken to hospital with symptoms described as mild. Police found traces of what appeared to be pepper spray on a nearby wall. The suspect has not been identified and an investigation is underway. In Angola, a landslide and an illegal gold mine has killed at least 28 people. Local authorities said the landslide on Saturday at a mine in Bengo province was one of Angola's deadliest mining disasters. All victims were aged between 16 and 35 years old. 4 people were rescued. Illegal gold mining has surged in Angola as falling diamond prices have pushed workers toward gold and other metals. Britain recorded its hottest ever day in May on Monday. Temperatures at Kew Gardens in London reached 34.8 degrees Celsius. The United Kingdom's National Weather and Climate Service said the reading broke the previous May record of 32.8 degrees set in both 1922 and 1944. It was also the hottest public holiday on record since Met Office records began in 1984. Ahead of the heat wave, the UK government issued an amber heat alert for large parts of England. Weather forecasters say Tuesday could see temperatures as high as 35 degrees. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
The holiday sunshine has quickly disappeared and a powerful rain system is now moving across the country. Rain is already falling across Jeju-do Island and parts of the south coast, with a heavy rain warning being in place for parts of mountainous regions of Jeju Island. And this band of rain system will gradually move nationwide through the afternoon. Mountainous regions in Jeju could receive more than 250 millimeters, while the south coast could see over 150 millimeters. Central regions, including Seoul, could receive 10 to 60 millimeters through tomorrow, and the heaviest rain is expected through tomorrow morning, along with thunderstorms. Afternoon highs will be 3 to 4 degrees lower than yesterday, getting up to 27 degrees here in Seoul and Daejeon, Gwangju at 26 degrees, and the winds will also pick up as the day goes on. More rain is expected through Thursday, then sunnier and warmer weather is expected to return later this week.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.